Okay, do you guys need to do a sound check? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We all good? Okay, 2 minutes. Your camera guys here? All right, we're good.
Yes. Love it. You need like your own crew, TV crew, to like record at all times and like make a movie about Kimberly Fletcher. It would be amazing.
My kids.
Mine too. Mine too. I have a 13-year-old
So
who
my
thinks
daughter,
everything's fine.
she's like, Mom, I just want you to know you are my new house.
What? Oh, I've got a fucking report.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that is so funny.
Very noisy cars.
Hello, everybody. You can do that, and it's a great time for institution, but that doesn't solve a lot of no. So I think that's the problem in America. Cheerleaders wake up and put a big picture.
We have everyone here but Keisha, right? We're all here. Okay. All right.
Nice.
I'm sorry, but it's not
Can you do, like, after you get back home, whatever, like, an email to all of us?
Yes. And now, and
That way we can know each other.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we'll have all the speeches will be cut in segments, so you'll have your own, and we'll have the whole thing too. And we'll have a teaser and all kinds of cool things. All right. All right, ladies. 10 seconds. You all ready?
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
ready.
Making history.
Make it
Here's the Mama Bear.
Hello, thank you all for being here. I am the president and founder of Moms for America. My name is Kimberly Fletcher. We are a national organization of mothers reclaiming our culture for truth, family, freedom, and the Constitution. That Constitution that people are ignoring, that protects our divine inherent rights as mothers and make sure that the world knows that parents' rights are fundamental and supreme. And no government has the right to dictate to us how we're going to raise our children. Right, ladies?
Yes.
So we now have a national movement of 500,000 moms and growing. That's just the network that we have. Every one of these ladies behind us is involved with the network. There are millions of us, mothers across the country, who are standing up against these things that are happening in our schools that are endangering our children. Today we are standing here in front of the national headquarters for NSBA, which is the National School Board Association, which nobody really knew what it was until they sent a letter to the federal government asking them to go after these moms here for being domestic terrorists. And we didn't sit too well with that. Originally, people asked us, were the moms intimidated? And I said, for about 2 seconds, until they realized they have no power. The Department of Justice has no authority whatsoever to do any of the things that they're doing. And NSBA, so let me explain a little bit about the apology letter that they sent out on Sunday, okay? Because what that was trying to appease us, but we're smarter than that. That letter, they don't regret what they said. They regret the backlash that it caused. And they're just trying to calm the water so we'll all go back to our homes and do the things that we used to do before we started to get wise about what they were doing. There is a state affiliate in every single state in the United States that is affiliated with the NSBA. 17, I believe it was, of those states called out NSBA. Several of them left NSBA's membership and said we don't agree with what they said. But if you look at their statements, what they didn't agree with was bringing the federal government in. They didn't have a problem with the agendas. They didn't have a problem with the mandates. They had a problem with the federal government coming to deal with their domestic terrorists on the ground. They'll do it themselves. So we want to make it clear that we are mothers, and when you mess with our kids, you have crossed a line that you don't want to cross. And that's why we're here. We have a fundamental right to teach, raise, educate, and nurture our children. And that fundamental right allows us, within the Constitution, our constitutionally protected right, to go into a school board, a school district, meet with a principal, and express our concerns when our children are being put in danger, medically, physically, mentally, socially, educationally. Our children are in danger. And we are going to step up and we are going to speak out when that happens. So today we have mothers representing 8 different states. And we have millions of mothers across the country watching from all 50 states. And last time we did this, we had a few countries around the world who were also jumping in, and I'm sure Australia is going to be right in amongst there. So I'm going to run down through the lineup really quick. We have just a couple of changes. As I said, I'm Kimberly Fletcher, President Moms for America. We have Marie Rogerson, representing Moms for Liberty. Raise your hands when they call your name so they know who you are. Elsie Ernsten, who is the Superintendent of Schools for the state of Montana. Superintendent, that's right. She Van Fleet, you know her. She's the Loudoun County mom who's been Loudoun. Nicole Solis from Rhode Island. If you're not familiar with her, Nicole Solis is a mom who asked questions, submitted 23 FOIA public records requests to her school district, and they then turned around and filed charges against her for asking questions. So what did she do? Filed, 200 more? So, all right. Tamara Farah, she is the executive director of Mom Force, which you're going to hear more about. But Mom Force is, we've got Space Force, we've got Air Force, now we got Mom Force, okay? Then we have Keisha King was not able to be here. She missed her flight. She's very upset about that. Kelly Coles, she is the founder of the National School Boards Leadership Council and also working with Moms for America for School Board Leadership Project, where we will be supporting and training new and returning school board members on how to be student first and community focused, to be a good steward of the position that you're being put in. Rebecca Fredericks, she is with For Kids and Country. If you're familiar with her, she is the awesome mom and teacher who took the California Teachers Union to the Supreme Court and through a subsequent case won. Elsa Eldecor, sorry. She is a mom from California. There we go. Standing up for her kids. And then we have Allie Legg. Where's Allie? Right here. Allie is running for school board in Tampa, in Florida. Yes. We have Yael Laverne, who is no left turn. Where's she at? No left turn in education. And Patty Menders, Loudoun County rock star. Yes. And then the final speaker will be Mercy Schlapp. And then I will close it out. We are here to do any interviews when you guys are done. We're happy to talk to any of you. And so we're going to get this started. And, one more thing I wanted to address. We just recently found out that the incoming president of the National School Board Association is, I believe, the chairman of a school board in Topeka, Kansas. He is going to be keeping both positions to make sure that he adequately intimidates mothers. And we mothers will not be intimidated. You have poked Mama Bear. The lionesses are awake. And this is a movement like you've never seen because we're fighting for our kids. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Our first speaker will be Marie from Moms for Liberty.
All right, well, I guess I'll kick things off. Pardon me as I read my remarks so I don't forget anything important. As a mom of 3, there are many lessons I've tried to teach my children. Once we even drew up a family set of rules, trying to cement some of the more important ones, like be kind and tell the truth. But at the bottom of the list, I added one simple statement. there are always consequences. This is a lesson the NSBA has failed to internalize. You cannot conspire to label parents as domestic terrorists one week and then issue an apology the next, hoping to escape the consequences. Sometimes sorry is not sufficient. Sorry doesn't cut it when your words embolden school boards like mine to strip away First Amendment public comment rights because it's easier to take them from domestic terrorists than parents. Sorry doesn't cut it when your words were used by the DOJ to launch a national strategy against parents. Sorry doesn't cut it for Moms for Liberty when your words were used to give a national platform to a school board member so she could slander and defame our moms on the ground fighting for their children. No one participating today wants to see any public official harassed, intimidated, or threatened with violence. We stand united against those types of criminal behaviors and call for those guilty of such to be held accountable. But let's be clear, it is not harassment to passionately defend a parent's right to direct the upbringing, education, and care of their child. It is not harassment to speak out loud the despicable things some of our school districts are doing. And it is not harassment to lay bare what is going on in our schools and rally the community to change them. We will not apologize if facts intimidate you or truth threatens your corrupt view of the world. We will defend our right to advocate for the removal of political agendas and indoctrination from our schools. The NSBA's words had and will continue to have consequences. Consequences that have been heaped upon the shoulders of parents. Parents like Jeffrey Steele, whose 7-year-old daughter with Down syndrome, who's nonverbal, had a mask tied to her head with nylon cord during an illegal mask mandate. When Jeffrey reached out to his school board member to address the situation, he couldn't reach her. Perhaps because she was busy talking to the media repeatedly and slandering our moms and painting everybody as domestic terrorists. Or perhaps it was because instead of being empowered by the NSBA to execute her elected duty with excellence, she was taught to view parents as the enemy. Either way, Jeffrey Steele turned to Moms for Liberty for help. The sad reality is the consequences of the words of the NSBA will impact our children. This new label of domestic terrorist is yet another hammer strike on the wedge forced between American parents and their children. We cannot allow that gap to widen. Our country will not survive it. Family is the foundation upon which healthy civilizations are constructed. We undermine that foundation when our leaders parrot the idea that parents should not tell schools what to teach. We chip away at it when our school boards build into policy the premise that they must protect students from their parents. We do not co-parent with the government. Partnering with teachers to educate our children is not tantamount to leaving our parental rights at the classroom door. The very nature of parenthood is responsibility. Genetics don't make a parent. Love doesn't make a parent, though it's needed. Responsibility alone distinguishes the title. Because it's my responsibility, I will continue to raise my voice no matter the intimidation tactics employed by looming national figures like the NSBA and the DOJ. I will stand up, speak up, and show up, and so will the thousands of Moms for Liberty members across this republic. We must get back to reading, writing, arithmetic, and the Constitution. Students should know Washington, Jefferson, Madison, flaws and all. They are our shared prologue, the first lines penned of a noble narrative whose next chapters we will write. The American story must continue. We must fix education because it steers that future. My children do not have to be present for the corruption and misinformation in schools to put them at risk. The children sitting in those classrooms will one day work alongside mine. Those children will one day live alongside mine, and those children will one day be elected to make law for mine. If we abandon public education, we abandon our future. We will not simply pull our children and turn our backs on the millions left behind. Each generation faces a fight for its liberty. Welcome to ours. We will not simply, I believe each person you hear from today is as invested in that fight as we are at Moms for Liberty. Together there is hope. Together we can turn this ship around and ensure a future where quality education enables our children to freely pursue their American dream. It starts in the classroom, one school at a time. We can reclaim education, banish political agendas, and tackle tough subjects with respect as joyful warriors. I encourage you to visit momsforliberty.org and join with your neighbors who know the path forward is through advocacy and elections, not intimidation and harassment. Thank you.
Good morning. I need a good morning. Good morning. Oh, wow. Just look where we are today. Just look at this beautiful day that the Lord has given us and the voices that are behind me that are going to ring out across our nation. So I'm Elsie Arnson. I'm Montana's elected state superintendent. So of the 50 states and our 4 territories, I stand as one. I'm elected by we the people. I'm elected for a reason, to support our students first. After 23 years of teaching in public schools, my role now is to shepherd all students, putting our students first, all teachers in Montana, all school boards in Montana, all school principals and superintendents. That is a heavy lift. Why I'm standing here right now is to alter the path, to put it into the arms of parents, the first teacher. We need to honor that first teacher. That first teacher, our parents, taught them respect, a hard lesson. Taught them ethics, equally hard. Taught them all of those first lessons. It's our job in government right now to be able to listen to those first teachers, honor those first teachers. As a state elected official, one of 5 constitutional officers, I am imploring government to get out of the way, to have government listen more actively, respectfully to the parent voices. Not just in the boardroom, but in the classroom, in the halls of our schools. We need to open our school doors and let our parents in. We need to make sure that what is being taught, who teaches that, and when it's taught is in the arms of our parents, as well as respecting our teachers. My father was an American history teacher. I learned civics at the kitchen table. I'm from Montana. We traveled here to the heart of government. It is so important for us as members of a great democracy, a republic, to understand the foundations of who we are. I am asking of you right now, let our unique state constitutions ring loudly. This is not about federal government control of public education. It is about allowing elected officials as myself to do my job for parents, for we the people, for more importantly for our students. I am asking that we respect, that we heal. The future forward for our children in Montana and everywhere across our great nation resides here in the heart of families. We must respect and understand family values. Understand, respect the parental rights, states' rights, as well as, and yes, let's put the trust back into our school trustees. That is only rebuilt by when we have a conversation together that is a respectful conversation. I am asking government at this point to respect families, to respect that first teacher. If we want our children to be great, we must also be great. Thank you.
My name is Xi Van Fleet. Since my speech at the Loudoun County School Board in June, I have been able to reach many Americans with this message. Woke revolution is the American version of the Chinese Cultural Revolution. Wokeism is Marxism and communism. Americans need to know that the communist infiltration in America is complete, especially in our educational system. The National School Board Association offers us a fine example. In their organizational mission, they used equity, not equality. Equality is American value. Equity is Marxist ideology. CRT is also Marxist ideology. It is used to divide America and silence the oppression. When parents all over the country go to the school board and voice their outrage against CRT, what did NSBA do? They called the parents domestic terrorists. Here is another parallel. The Chinese Communist Party and the NSBA do not want the parents to be part of the educational system. They want to keep the educational system their own indoctrination mill. In Xi Jinping's own words, the goal of the Chinese educational system is to prepare builders and successors for the Chinese socialist cause. The NSBA want to keep our school, to use it to train our children to be social justice warriors and foot soldiers for their anti-America radical agenda. When faced with opposition, both CCP and NSBA resort to intimidation. Listen up, NSBA. These are our children. We, the parents, should and will always be the primary stakeholder of their education. We want American values and ideals taught to our children. We reject Marxism and communism. Although NSBA has since apologized for their letter to DOJ, we know they are not sorry. They are sorry because their attempt backfired. We will not stop fighting until we take back from the hands of American Marxism our school board, our educational organization like NSBA, our government, and our country. Thank you.
My name is Nicolelis. I'm a mom from South Kingstown, Rhode Island, and I have a daughter that was entering kindergarten. I simply asked questions of my school board, and they attacked me. And then the National Education Association attacked me. The largest teachers union in America is suing me because I submitted public records requests to get public information about critical race theory. And now the National School Board Association is targeting me. And now the Department of Justice is targeting me. Am I a domestic terrorist because I want to know what my daughter is being taught in school? No. The National School Board Association conspired with the highest level of law enforcement in America to target moms. And they didn't just want to target us, they wanted to destroy our lives. You know what happens when the FBI knocks on your door and starts eliciting statements from you, even when you've done nothing wrong? That could be the beginning of the end of your life. That's not the first time that's happened in this country with the FBI targeting innocent Americans. And now they say, sorry, sorry, we tried to ruin your lives. Oops, don't forget to pay your dues. Well, we don't accept that apology. The NSBA isn't sorry. They didn't even say sorry to parents. They said sorry to their school board associations because they didn't get their vote to target parents with the force of the FBI. They're sorry they didn't follow Robert's Rules of Order. They're sorry they got caught and didn't do this better. They're sorry their bottom line is now being targeted. What they care about is their money, their power, and their political agendas. They don't care about parents. And we don't accept their apology because they're going to target us anyway. There were FBI helicopters in Loudoun County at a school board meeting. They're not sorry. They're just going to be sneaky. We don't want sorries. We want resignations. We want oustings. We want states to withdraw their memberships from the National School Board Association. 3 states have already done it. We want more.
Amen.
Yes.
Their bottom line is money. Our bottom line is our kids. The National School Board Association has told us who they really are. Now we see you. We don't want you in our schools anymore. Stop siphoning public education funds to fund your political agenda that targets parents and children. Apology not accepted.
That was awesome, Nicole. Thank you all for being here. Good morning. My name is Tamara, and I lead the National School Board Initiative for Moms for America. I talk to moms all over the country who are speaking up in schools. Some of them are right here, and who are at school board meetings on a regular basis. These moms are rightfully mad. The NSBA may have retracted, as everyone has said here, their statement, but it doesn't diminish the fact that they said it. Calling these moms domestic terrorists is the pathetic taunt of a schoolyard bully, a desperate attempt to intimidate everyday moms and dads that are exposing the evils in the classroom as school officials fill resource centers in nearly every public school with unspeakable child pornography under the banner of sex ed, as they teach that simple math equations can have more than one answer, and use the power of suggestion daily to create cruel gender confusion, so that when I am sitting in Starbucks working on my laptop around the time that school lets out and kids stream in for a Frappuccino, it is impossible to recognize their birth gender or exactly what gender they are at all. They are pummeled on a regular daily basis by so-called trusted adults, their teachers, who ask them repeatedly what pronouns they want to use. And it becomes a matter of peer pressure to not use your DNA to pick your pronouns. The obvious goal of this charade, led by the NSBA and the DOJ, is to intimidate parents so they will stand down and quit exposing the pornographic sex ed that can lead to lifelong sex addiction. Who's talking about that? The inept new math that destroys the hope of STEM. Haven't we worked on STEM for years? The lies of critical race theory that breed shame and lack of ambition. That's what's at the bottom of critical race. And the revisionist history, which erases the greatness of America in the minds of the next generation. Yes, they are desperately trying to silence parents who are the only ones in this country who have pulled back the black shroud hanging over our schools and revealing what's really happening in the classroom. And thanks to them, 75% of Americans believe what's being taught in schools is bad. Remember the courageous moms that read the content from pornographic books in the school resource center exposing how kids are being groomed for sexual abuse and addiction. Schools are looking more like Epstein Island than educational institutions. If you don't believe it, just think about the girl who was raped by a boy who claimed to be transgen and so has access to what, and therefore had access to what used to be the bio girls' class restroom, and suffered while the school officials swept it under the rug until it happened a second time. Remember when kids were taught to read, write, calculate, and to become exemplary citizens, schools under their current stranglehold from the Marxist left have no interest in that idea. The American idea only works if its people understand and exercise their rights. The people running our schools today and who are behind this indoctrination plan in schools don't want America to work. They want to remake this country into a new one. But guess what? We the people and we the moms of America don't want that. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kelly Coles, and I'm just here to tell you about my experience being elected to a public school board, then appointed to another school board. I have to say that not all school board members are bad people. They're not all party to the agenda, the political agenda that is in our schools. What they are is victimized by NSBA and their state affiliates when they're trained to do nothing to stop the train. They're trained to just bobble their heads and say yes to everything on the agenda that they probably disagree with if they did their homework, but they're coached not to do their homework, not to be an outlier, not to ask questions, not to expose what's happening in the school. They're pretty much trained to do what they're doing, guys, and it's almost nothing. So while I was elected to the school board, I went to that training. And for a whole weekend, right after I was sworn in, I was told how to be a good school board member. And it was the opposite of why the people in the Springboro community elected me. And I left that weekend knowing I was not going to be a good school board member. That's what school board members need, is they need training. They need tools to fight what they're seeing. What I saw, and I couldn't really stop, and I'm just telling you, was a constant agenda to take on the role of the parent. This is in 2010. And I kept asking my school board, why are we, and the administration, why are we taking on the role of the parent? That's not our business. That's not our business. Why are we doing this? And so for a few things, I was able to pull it back and stop it. But one thing was the Pride survey. Kids are being given surveys nonstop. And what it does is it conditions them to give private, personal, protected information to strangers. Because they've been led to believe that these school districts are in it for good. They're all good people. Well, what they are is they're conditioning children not to have private information. So that one survey was called Pride Survey, and I insisted and got the other board members to agree with me that parents should know about this survey, because I read it. It was a lot of personal, private, protected information that they were asking kids to fill out. I said we need to tell the parents that this is going on. And I got a lot of resistance. But I did insist, we got it done. All the parents were told this is voluntary. You can tell your children that they can bring a book to read or something else to do. They do not have to fill out this survey. So my kids, I had 5 in the system, 2 of them reported back that day that once they got the survey in front of them and they brought books to read for that time, they were told on the intercom that this is required that they fill it out. So not only do boards not have the power that they think they have, parents, you have no power to stop stuff unless you know what's going on. So as a board member, what I wanted more than anything was parents' involvement. To think that the NSBA and their state affiliates are telling parents, we don't want your involvement. In fact, we're going to sic the FBI on you and the DOJ on you if you do give your input, is absolutely unbelievable. So what I'm here to say is board members are not always your enemy. Get to know them. Tell them what you want personally in emails, however you can tell them. It doesn't have to be yelling at a microphone. That's okay. But if you tell them what you want and they ignore you and do something different, then they're derelict. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm a longtime California public school teacher. So the NSBA's shocking accusations against parents did not surprise me at all. In fact, I've been warning parents and teachers about this agenda for decades. Thank God people are awakening. NSBA presents itself as a union for school board members, yet every single decent, honorable school board member I know is disgusted by the agenda of the NSBA. NSBA does not represent good and honest school board members. NSBA works in lockstep with the so-called teachers' unions. So-called because they also do not represent great teachers. Together, the NSBA and so-called teachers' unions are the biggest bullies in our schools. These government unions contort and twist facts to make themselves seem like victims when they're actually the tyrants. For years, they've been corrupting our schools, and they've used mafia-like tactics to terrorize school board members, parents, and teachers who refuse to toe the union line. Thank God more are refusing. These tactics include including the weaponizing of government against parents, must be condemned. They smack of the communist playbook. Have you ever read the communist playbook? Let's read a few of the 45 goals that are being used by the communists to undermine our republic. These were read into our congressional record on January 10th, 1963, to warn Americans. They have all been completed. Goal number 17, get control of the schools. Use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda. The parents aren't the propagandists. The unions are. Soften the curriculum. Get control of the teacher associations. Put the party line in the textbooks. Goal 36, infiltrate and gain control of more unions. They did. Goal 25, break down cultural standards of morality. Goal 29, discredit the American Constitution. Goal 30, discredit the American Founding Fathers. Goal 40, discredit the family as an institution. And the most disgusting of all, Goal 41, emphasize the need to raise children away from the negative influence of parents. Of parents. No, our schools are the negative influence because they've been corrupted by government unions who aren't what they say they are. Our schools in our country have been sabotaged by wolves in sheep's clothing, unions pushing communist ideology under the guise of protecting children. But thank God these enemies of our kids and country recently puffed up with immense amounts of pride and exposed themselves. I'll tell you, NSBA, the scriptures say something. Pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. God's word always proves true. While NSBA, so-called teachers unions, and the Biden administration push their rotten agenda, the reality is that parents and teachers are awakening to the communist takeover of our schools, and we are pushing back. No longer are we ignorant of the fact that our children are being indoctrinated by a racist, sexually explicit, anti-American, anti-family, anti-decency agenda pushed by union-controlled activists masquerading as public servants. The scriptures also say, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. The viral scenes of parents, guardians, and teachers taking school boards to task are a wonderful picture of God's word in action as we stand against our real domestic enemies. And we won't stop. And I have a message for good teachers. Do you know you're not forced to fund the unions anymore? Please visit us at forkidsandcountry.org. Click on Union Exit. Teachers, we're not alone anymore. The parents have joined us in the fight. I'm talking to good teachers. We will win this war for our kids and country, standing together in courage and in the power of the King of Kings, because our battle is righteous. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Elsa Aldiger, and I'm also from California. And I also run Latinos United for America. I want to make sure that everyone knows that the Latino community, we are very conservative, and we're against all this ideology that kids can be pansexual. Like, I had to actually learn all this new vocabulary because we're being bombarded left and right with the brainwashing, with the ideology that kids can be butterflies or whatever they feel like it. So I'm going to tell you that we have been dealing with the brainwashing for a lot of years, and we have been deceived. This book, it's about history, right? This is what our children are learning in the public schools. This book is from 2007. My son was doing some homework from this book, and I said to him, let me see what you're doing, and I'm going to show you guys. And this is very scary because most of us think that this is world history, but it's not. This is a brainwashing. So they skipped, when they started this book, they skipped the first chapter, which is Christianism. And they started with the pillars of Islam. My son had to memorize vocabulary like jihad, Sharia, Sunnah, Iman, Quran. Why are our children learning the pillars of Islam, and why is the school board suppressing God and Christianism? I'm a Christian and I don't like this. Look, not only they have to memorize, they have to draw pictures to make sure that they understand the pillars of Islam. So I got this book. This is when my son was in 7th grade. Right now, my son is in 9th grade. So the fight right now is critical race theory. Okay, my son is half black, and he's being told that because of his skin color, he cannot be an attorney. He cannot be a professor. He cannot be anything because he is being oppressed. This is what I tell my kid. I said, you know what? It doesn't matter what people tell you. You can be anything. You put your heart to it. You can be anything you want to be in life. So that's another thing that we're dealing in California. We are dealing with teachers telling our kids, you know, if you're brown, you're oppressed. That's not true. They're not oppressed, and the whites are not the oppressors either. So the third thing that I want to talk about is the gay books that are being circulating. There's a book called Gender Queer. This book is for high school students in California, in the Glendale district. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this book. This book talks about a girl being non-binary. She talks about, this book shows the girl masturbating. The girl is receiving a strap-on blowjob. I mean, like, seriously? She's also being pressured in the book to taste her own vagina slime. I mean, like, it is hard for me to even read this to you guys. And this is for our children. She's also talking about, in this book, how she's fantasizing with a little boy. This is called pedophilia. She's wishing that she got breast cancer because she doesn't want to have breasts anymore. I mean, like, these are the books that are being circulating, guys, in our school district. If that doesn't scare you, I don't know what is going to scare you, because they are after our kids. We as parents are in control. The kids belong to we the parents, not to the state. Thank you very much.
Good morning. So first I want to say thank you, Kimberly Fletcher, Moms for America, for this opportunity to speak here today. I'm Allie Legg, that's A-L-Y-L-E-G-G-E. I am a veteran, a wife of a 20-year combat veteran, a mother of 5, and a community leader in Hillsborough County, Florida. And I take full offense to the NSBA and the DOJ referring to concerned parents like myself as domestic terrorists needing to be investigated by the FBI. If I had to make a list of 100 things the FBI should be investigating, concerned parents exercising their constitutionally protected rights at school board meetings would not be on the list. However, investigating school boards that violate their oath of office, breaking constitutional law, unlawfully revoking parental rights, and grossly mismanaging taxpayer money, resulting in millions of dollars in debt, would make the list. Our Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and when elected public servants operate outside of that, they are operating outside of the consent of the people. It is our job, our obligation, to make sure that they stay in their lane. Civility is demanded of us, but where is the civility in your governance? Parents across our nation have realized that our school boards have not understood the assignment of properly educating our children, the future of our country. This should be the focus of the NSBA. Mothers are tired of being told we do not need to be involved in our child's education, when all research shows that parental involvement dramatically improves a student's mental, emotional, and academic success. We are tired of being told we do not know what is best for our children, when in fact we are the only ones that know. We have an absolute right to address those whom we've elected to serve us for grievances, and we are standing here, standing up for all children, saying no. No, we do not co-parent with the government. No, our children are not government property. No, you will not teach our children to hate themselves, each other, or our country. No, you will not tell them because of the color of their skin they are of an oppressed or an oppressor class. No, you will not sexualize our children through explicit pornographic reading material disguised as sexual education, diversity, equity, and equality and inclusion. And let me tell you, the more we are ignored and ostracized, the more you will see those like us here, standing here today, speaking out, and like myself, who will run for office to challenge anyone that does not align with understanding the proper role of government and protecting parental rights in every single county of this nation. In 1776, we said no more kings, and yet here we are with government operating outside of the consent of the people, with mandates, lockdowns, and breaking laws with no recourse. I want to make this abundantly clear. We, the people, hold the power. And come election time in 2022, we will hold all that violate their oaths of office accountable, and we will vote you out. We will not be intimidated, and we will not be silenced. I am Allie Legg from Hillsborough County, Florida. Thank you very much.
Well, I don't know how I'm going to do after that. Hi, my name is Yael. It's Y-A-E-L, Levine, L-E-V-I-N. I'm the Chief Technology and Communications Officer and Virginia Chapter President for No Left Turn in Education. We are outraged that the NSBA and the Attorney General are weaponizing the FBI against us, everyday parents who just want to protect our children. When the Department of Education was established in 1979, the law specifically stated that parents have the primary responsibility for the education of their children, and that states and localities have the primary responsibility to support parents. Parents have been shut out of their children's education for too long, and No Left Turn in Education has been at the forefront of reinstating parental rights and reviving K-12 education. Children of all races, ethnicities, and backgrounds are being traumatized, divided, and exposed to pornographic and pedophilic materials in our schools. An example, other than genderqueer, is the book called The Lawn Boy by Jonathan Evison, that describes a scene of a 10-year-old boy having sex with an adult male, oral sex with an adult male. Do you want your children reading that? No. Neither do I. There are hundreds of examples on our website, noleftturn.us. We get calls and messages from parents every single day at all hours. I get calls sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning, and yes, I stay up that late, of parents telling us what's happening in their kids' schools despite being shut down from the schools. What Parents is doing is simply exercising their First Amendment right and to express grievances to their elected officials. We are peaceful. We condone violence, condemn violence, but we are persistent and vocal, and we will spend the remainder of our time and every effort that we have, every single minute of our day, fighting for our children, because the children belong to us and not to the government. I will close with reminding everyone about the Supreme Court decision at New York Times versus Sullivan, where the court reaffirmed our free speech protections and warned public officials that they cannot suppress public comment regardless of how uncomfortable it makes them feel. School boards are suppressing our public comments. They're shutting them down. They're walking out of boardrooms, and that is not okay. We will not stand for this, and we will be here to protect our children. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Patty Hidalgo Menders, and I am the president of the largest Republican women's club here in Virginia. I'm also a daughter of parents who escaped communist Cuba, and more importantly, I'm a mother of 6 sons. Loudoun County, Virginia has been in the national news spotlight for several months. It all started when 6 of the school board members were in a private Facebook group, and one of them incited a mob to blacklist and go after parents. There were 3 pictures of me, my first and last name, my husband's name, where my son goes to high school, what town I live in. They wanted to take postcards and mail them to my neighbors, calling me a racist. They wanted to take a megaphone to our homes and call us racist. What did we do to incite this intimidation? We showed up to the school board meeting during public comments. This led to many of us parents organizing. We held signs showing sexually explicit books in our schools. We created the Parents' Bill of Rights. We initiated recalling 6 of those school board members because of their conduct, and there are many lawsuits against this school board. We hold rallies that include national figures such as Scott Pressler and Matt Walsh to support us, and we're fighting the bias reporting where kids can tattletale on each other. We want to remove the Student Equity Ambassador Program, which has children in leadership roles at schools that look for racism. Teachers are anonymously showing us the culturally responsive training, which divides the children by skin color into victims and oppressors. The school board has passed the transgender policy, which allows the opposite sex to use the bathroom not of their birth. Did you know we can no longer have homecoming king and queen? We can no longer have father-daughter dances because of these policies. There was a horrible sexual assault that happened in May, and this school board and superintendent covered it up. They placed the predator back into another school to sexually assault another girl. This predator was found guilty just this week by the courts, and we are so happy for some justice for this family. We have successfully convinced Beth Bartz, the biggest agitator on the school board, to resign. And we will continue to organize and fight back against these corrupt members of the Loudoun County School Board. We parents want to remove critical race theory from our schools. We want to remove transgender policies and vaccine mandates and keep our kids safe. We want this school board to get back to academics. We parents are not domestic terrorists. We parents need to be part of our children's education. We parents want school boards to stop dividing our children and using them as pawns to pass their political ideology by race and gender. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mercedes Schlapp. I'm with the American Conservative Union, CPAC, and Kimberly, thank you for organizing this, such an important event. And I have to say, I'm so inspired by all of you. All of you. We come from different backgrounds. We have Hispanics, African Americans, Chinese Americans. We're Vietnamese. But we share one thing in common, and that is to protect our children. That is to give our children the best possible education we can in this great country. I am the mother of 5 daughters, and it is a priority that we teach them the good values of America. And what we have seen is a corrupt system. And yes, National School Board Association, I know you can hear us. We are loud, we are bold, and we will not be silenced. Let me explain something to you, not very far away from here. We saw terrorists attack our great capital city, Washington, D.C. We know what real terrorists do. I was in the White House during 9/11. We saw the coming down of the World Trade Center because of terrorists who hate our country and hate our civilization, our Western civilization. But I will tell you something. For the National School Board Association to call parents domestic terrorists is the most irresponsible and the greatest outrage I have seen in my lifetime. And we will not put up with it. An apology is not enough. We have questions. Were you coordinating with the White House? Why did you go and move forward with the Department of Justice in sending this letter? It is an outrage what they have done. There should be resignations. They need to step aside. They are a bureaucratic, corrupt system that only is pushing a leftist political agenda focused on destroying our schools and destroying our children. And we, the parents, the moms and dads, are not going to put up with this. And I got to tell you, I've been in politics for a long time, and I've never seen so many parents who were never involved in politics rise up and say, enough. And I will say that for those political candidates who believe that parents don't have a role in our schools, they have no place in serving the people of our states and of our country. And that's a message for you, Terry McAuliffe. You have no right to tell the parents that they don't have a role in our schools. We will speak up. We will continue to protect our children. And when you see those images of students walking out of Loudoun County Public School and saying that Loudoun is protecting rapists, those are the students. Even the students have had enough. No more of this leftist, socialist, Marxist indoctrination. We will make sure that we will stand up. We will stand up for our freedom to speak, our freedom to help build and develop critical thinkers in our children. That is what we need for their ability to worship freely, to speak up freely without feeling that they're being bullied. So when these school board members run, it's no more about educator endorsed. It's about parent endorsed and student endorsed, because that is what matters, and that's why we come here today as a united front to send a direct message to the National School Board Association. The apology is not enough. There needs to be resignations. We want answers, and this fight has just begun. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mercy. I couldn't have said it better myself. So, just as an FYI, at this very time, in the nation's capital, at the Capitol building, Merrick Garland is standing before the Judiciary Committee, I believe it is, testifying and answering questions. And he was asked by Senator Grassley a few moments ago about his statement. And Merrick Garland said, "I absolutely stand by my statement." So they're not backing down because they think that they have all the power. And as we have heard today, they do not have the power. And the whole entire administration has become irrelevant when they don't recognize the Constitution of the United States and our constitutionally protected rights. That Constitution, as Thomas Jefferson said, binds them down. And we're ready to bind them back down with that Constitution. So everybody asks me what next. So I want to say what next, because you've heard some incredible speeches today. You've heard some great information. But then what do we do, right? All right, so I'm going to tell you a couple of things that parents, you need to know about. Media, please start telling people about this. We have got to get this information out. It was referenced about the surveys. These surveys are going out to our children in elementary, middle, and high school. And I'm just going to read question 5 and 6 for a survey that went out in our vice president's, Debbie Nicolelis is the vice president of Moms for America, and in her son's school. And luckily, you know, we have kids who are like, and they come home and they tell their parents. That's one of the things that we want to make sure and that parents do. Empower your children to be the investigative reporters. We're not in there. They're purposely keeping us out. For whatever reason, they let our children take phones to school. So tell them to turn them on and record what's going on. Come home and report to you. Be an advocate with them. Be on the same team. We're on this together. If anything makes you feel uncomfortable or doesn't feel right, then come home and tell us, and we'll work on it together. 2 questions of this one survey. Her son came home and was like, yeah, I don't think so. What is your primary gender identity? Mark only one. Male, female, transgender female, gender queer or gender fluid, questioning, prefer not to answer other. I'm not even going to talk about questioning. I mean, what you have down there, that's what you are. Okay, number 6. Do you identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, aromantic? You gotta look this stuff up. They make it up. It's like they're sitting around a table going, let's come up with some cool new names. This has nothing to do with reading, writing, arithmetic. We want, and this is one of the things that we need to make sure as parents that we're doing, not just go in and be angry about what's happening, but give alternatives. What do we want? You've heard it today. What do we want? What do we want? We want real science. We want true history. We want reading, writing, and arithmetic. We want our kids to be able to think for themselves and be good citizens. Is it that hard? Could we just focus on that? All right. You want to know why it is we're so upset? You've heard some of the stories today. There is a woman a friend of mine who came to my door about 3 years ago in tears. And you know, at church and at communities, people are kind of looking at me like I'm a helicopter parent, you know, because we're here like, oh, they're just out in left field. That stuff's really not happening, because you wouldn't possibly believe that the things that are happening are really happening until it does. And then we get phone calls, we get emails, we get people at our doors going, what do I do? Go to the school board and tell them. That's what we tell them. And then what do we get? We get called domestic terrorists because we're going and we're telling them. This mom came to my door 3 years ago in tears because her daughter, who was barely 10 years old in 5th grade, had one of the boys in the class had pulled a book off the classroom reading library because the teacher had sent out an email to all of the parents saying, your children are at a higher reading level, and there's no higher reading level books that meet their standards in the library, so I'm going to put a classroom library in the classroom that the children can pull from. So what higher reading level means is stuff you don't want your kids to read. It sounds good, but it's a catchphrase. They're very good at picking their words. One of those higher reading level books that this boy was reading, that this little girl came home traumatized over, included a graphic scene of a 12-year-old girl being raped by a 60-year-old man. That's higher reading level. You want to know why moms are angry? That's why we're angry. Because we are deceived, we are lied to, and we are kept out. In Nashville, Tennessee, there were over 2,000 parents who were locked out of a school board meeting. As they were chanting, no mandates, the school board was passing the mandates on the other side of the door. We've had schools all across the country who wanted our kids to come back, so they said, there'll be no mandates. It's your preference. And then the day before school or the day of school, they're told, nope, you're going to have to wear masks. Our children have masks taped on their faces. We have a mom who called us in Michigan who said that her daughter wasn't wearing a mask. The teacher berated her and pulled a dirty mask out of another kid's backpack and made her wear it. This is the kind of stuff that's going on. So you think that we're just out there blowing smoke. No, we're exposing fire, and we are going to put it out. So here is what we are doing. When you show up at a school board meeting, and that's what I told that mom, you want to know what to do? You show up for the school board meeting, and for your 3 minutes, you read that book. So we have moms who are doing this, and here's the irony of it. All those Loudoun County moms that went up there and they spoke and they started reading the books, when it went on TV, they had to bleep it out. I was in a school board meeting in Omaha, Nebraska, when they were talking about at what grade level do we introduce dental dams, 4th grade or 5th grade. I had to look up what a dental dam was. Do you know what it is? It's an apparatus that aids you in anal and oral sex. Why, at any level in education, do we need to be talking about this? And then the school board president said, I know these are very difficult conversations because we're on public TV and I think my daughter's watching. And I'm like, are you hearing yourself? You don't want, you're embarrassed to have it on public TV. You're worried that your child is at home, but you want to put it behind closed doors and expose our children. No. So here are the tips that we're telling moms. First of all, know what's going on. We're not helicopter parents. We're saving your kids. We're telling you what's going on so that you can be aware. The no left turn in education, you want to know what books are out there, you want to report a book, call them. It is important that we unite together and support each other. There's a program that Moms for America has called the Cottage Meeting Project. It is powerful and empowering. It will help you learn the true history of America, all of it, the goods, the bads, the uglies. When people ask us, what does Moms for America do to counter critical race theory? The same thing we've been doing since 2012. We teach the real story of America to moms, and they're tearing up because they have no idea. They haven't heard of the Mayflower. They haven't heard of these great stories of the bulletproof George Washington or any of these amazing stories in history. We give it back. We also teach them what their rights are, where they come from. There is no such thing as a constitutional right. It does not exist. If there was, then the government gave it and the government could take it away. Our rights come from God, and that Constitution protects it. That makes them our constitutionally protected rights. So when we are going there standing before any elected body, that puts us at a whole different level. They do not mandate to us when we can speak and what we will wear. We will speak and they will listen. So we encourage you to come to Moms for America, sign up for the Cottage Meeting Project. You can take it live, virtually, hold it in your home, and you will learn these things and you will be empowered, and it is life-changing. And then you can help your children learn these things because there's nothing going on outside the home that can't be healed, countered, or curtailed inside the home. The next thing, we are showing up at these school board meetings fighting things that we're paying for. Do you know that? The school districts are paying the membership dues for the National School Board Association, for your state affiliate, for the Superintendents Association, and for the Association of State Boards of Education. They are all lobbying associations. And while I applaud those state affiliates for pulling out of NSBA, the fact of the matter is, they didn't have a problem, again, I repeat, with the agenda. They had a problem with the federal government coming in and dealing with us instead of them dealing with us themselves. They have an agenda. It is the union agenda, and they are victimizing school board members because even when we get good people in there within 6 months, the drip, drip, drip indoctrination, they are told, don't go into the schools because it unsettles people. The superintendent is always right. Listen to the law director. You hired him. Trust him. There's never enough money. Go along to get along. Even when you disagree with something, if the majority votes for it, you need to vote for it. Just nod your head and say, okay. And so they want to be good school board members. They're intimidated. They're bullied. And what do they get for their membership? A magazine that heralds all those who are towing the union line and those that need to step it up. And it all sounds good and flowery. You want to be part of the football team, right? But it's not. And so we need to be standing with those school board members and with those teachers that agree with us, because there are a whole lot more that don't. They are coming up to us at our school board meetings when our moms are speaking. It happened in North Carolina 3 weeks ago. The chairman and 2 members of the school board came up and thanked that mom for reading our joint statement that talked about the funding. So we have had multiple school board members who have come to us and said, please take the funding away. Take the funding away from these organizations because they are bullying and intimidating us. So this is our call of action. We are encouraging moms all across this country to file a public records request with your school district to find out how much of your school district money, your taxpayer dollars, are going to these lobbying associations. And then we encourage you to take that information in a polite, respectful way. Instead of throwing it in their faces, say, you know what? I didn't know this, and I don't know if you guys know this, but I'd like to make you aware of it. because this money belongs in the classroom. Millions and millions of dollars is going to these associations to lobby against us, our children, and our schools. And that's right. We're going to close the achievement gap, take them out, and we'll have all kinds of achievement. So defund them. Defund them. So number one, join the cottage meeting. Number two, defund them. Show up. It is vitally important that we show up. You individually do not have to be at every school board meeting, but we need to be present at every school board meeting. Branding matters. The Moms for Liberty, when they show up with their brands, only one mom has to show up with that t-shirt. You can gather 12 or 15 friends, and school boards only meet twice a month at most. You're only having to go once or twice a year, and you come back and report. But if there's something that you need to be there for, you get on the horn and you call that little happy mom mob to come out and be with you. They see the brand. They see the Moms for Liberty. They see the Moms for America. They see the No Left Turn. You show up. And then instead of being ignored when the decision is already made, you're at the table when the decision is being discussed. So be there and stay for the whole entire meeting, because Red for Ed is there every meeting pushing their agendas. We need to be there making sure the moms are being heard. The last thing is we need to connect. Tyler, can you come up here? There she is. This is Tyler Oda. She is our state liaison for the state of Virginia. We have state liaisons in 19 states now and growing. And the whole purpose of our state liaisons is to be able to unite and support with all these different organizations. We don't have to find all these books. No Left Turn in Education is already doing it for us. On their website. We promote it. We push it out there. We can work together. Tyler is able to, had been able to do all kinds of amazing things here in Virginia, working with Patty and she and these moms. She did a video in her own home where she brought these moms in because she said the school board isn't listening to us. We're going to hold our own school board meeting and put it on video. Rock star. So, I mean, this is the kind of things that we do. Think out of the box. But we have got to unite together. And we've been around since 2004, and we've been fighting this fight for a really long time. And I think of the people we do have action items. We encouraging you moms everywhere. Empower your kids to be the investigators. Keep letting us know about the books. We're here to help you. We have lawsuits in states that we're supporting. We have 400 moms in Michigan pulled their kids out in 1 week, and then they called us up and said, okay, now what? We can help you, okay? We don't have to do it all. We just know everybody who is. So we're like your central force to come to momsforamerica.us. Come and join us. Thank you for being here. And just God bless every single one of you for doing what you're doing. Thank you.